You know, one of the most crucial discoveries in modern medical science is actually the discovery of stem cells. It was not too long ago when James Still, a biophysicist, along with his colleague Ernest McCullough, a cellular biologist, discovered stem cells. Back in the 1961, their discovery, as well as their subsequent paper, shook the scientific world. A cell that is able to renew itself, that is also able to replace other tissue, as well as also being transplantable. Now, I have mentioned stem cells and research about them briefly when I was talking about the Hisashi Oishi case. You can watch that video if you haven't already. But I only mentioned it as a means to cure cancer and leukemia. But that is not all the stem cells can do. In fact, they have pushed regenerative medicine into the spotlight, laid foundations basically for it. Now, what we do with traditional medicine is that we simply treat the symptoms, whether it being with a surgery or with drugs. But with stem cells, there is a possibility to do even more. We could even cure the whole disease. Though the complete cure of more invasive diseases is still far from us, but we are making our way there, one step at a time. There is a research out there that points out that we could use stem cells in order to cure diabetes, spinal cord injury, or even blindness. But still, let's keep that in mind that it's mostly for some other generations. Now let's focus on the last possibility, curing blindness, and how far we have come in that field. But before we do any of that, why don't you subscribe to my channel and like the video while you're at it. Help a guy out. And don't you leave till the end. I'll reveal what they are truly doing with this stem cell research. Anyway, what are stem cells and where do they come from? Let's begin with that. First things first, stem cells are body's raw material used in making all the other kinds of cells. How, you might be asking? Well, it's quite simple. Under the right circumstances, those stem cells can divide further into what we call daughter cells. And then those daughter cells can further divide into more stem cells or a specialized cells. Ones like nerve cells, cardiac cells, blood cells, liver cells, bone cells, etc, etc. Quite a neat ability, don't you think? Now imagine me being able to divide myself into several different kinds of me. Some same as me, while some more specialized for certain tasks. Like, look over there, there's that philosopher Sasha. He's the one responsible for being able to talk about anything anywhere, regardless of whether the fuck you know what you're talking about or not. And over here we have impatient Sasha. He's the one responsible for bitching 24/7. And then way back down there we have the rarest of them all, a do everything on time Sasha. Quite a rare breed, unicorn if you will. Once in a lifetime appearance. Anyway, let's move on, shall we? There are several different types of stem cells. The two most prominent ones are the embryonic stem cells and adult stem cells. The adult stem cells are more restricted in their ability to do things, since they come from bone marrow or adult tissue. Now, embryonic stem cells, on the other hand, are the ones that can do all of the above mentioned, dividing into all the other stem cells, repairing tissue, all the good stuff. But there's a catch. Because of course there fucking is. As the name suggests, embryonic stem cells come from adult calves. I'm joking, they come from fertilized human eggs. You can already imagine the problem with that, right? As soon as anything human or human related is involved, you can bet your bottom dollar that ethics will be involved. I can already imagine someone in some committee wagging their finger and saying, what do you think you're doing? Put that potential human being back. So to skip all that, you need a donation from an informed individual. That's acceptable. There are also adult stem cells that are programmed to behave like embryonic stem cells. And then there are also stem cells from amniotic fluid. Why are the most useful things in our bodies always found in the most disturbing places? At this point, I wouldn't even be surprised if we found cure for narcolepsy somewhere deep in our ass. Okay, now we're all up to speed on stem cell research. Now let's get back onto the curing of blindness topic. Just recently, in fact last year, we had a giant breakthrough in this field of medical science. What am I talking about? Well, apparently scientists have been able to grow eyes on tiny lab-grown human brains. You heard that right. I know, finally! I've been waiting for years and years, sitting down patiently thinking to myself, today is the day that they finally grow eyes on tiny human brains. And the day never came. Until last year in August. Just look at this cute little shit. It looks like a tadpole, right? You know, the more I look at it, I can't even decide whether it's cute and cuddly or bizarre and ugly. That's science for you, I guess. And yes, it's true, this is a tiny human brain, technically called organoid, that sprouted fully functioning eyes. They can in fact detect light and send that information to the rest of the organoid. Now keep in mind that this is not the first discovery of its kind. Previously, scientists have been able to recreate a human tear ducts that are able to cry, as well as tiny human beating hearts. In fact, I might cover that in the future. But this is far more interesting. A brain with eyes. Now I can already imagine the movie scenario where it grows to obscene size, fully develops those eyes, grows arms and legs, and finally escapes the lab somehow. And now it prowls streets and sewers, eating and getting bigger and stronger, waiting for a day when it can exact its vengeance on the scientists or whoever. Now that's just a movie scenario. Luckily, these tiny organoids would never be able to do that because they lack any form of thought or emotion. They lack the prefrontal cortex. In other words, they are dumb. Now, how did scientists do it and what does it mean to us? Let's see. Now the process was quite simple. The scientists at the University Hospital of Düsseldorf managed to obtain from donors, of course, 314 brain organoids. It is important to mention that they have received adult stem cells, which they further reprogrammed to behave like embryonic stem cells, and then they put them in an environment similar to a developing brain. After they put them in that petri dish, they inserted optic cups inside and observed what would happen. A stunning 72% of them were able to reproduce, or rather grow, those optic cups on themselves. That's the black thing at the front, usually found in the eye, where the optic nerve meets the retina. Interestingly, a further development of lens and even retina was noticed. Usually these tiny organoids have different purposes back in the day. They were mostly used to observe the brain development, the usage of different drugs on brain, and the development of several different brain diseases. And it took them around 50 to 60 days to grow those rudimentary eye structures. Nothing strange about that, since even human embryo needs about roughly the same time to grow their own rudimentary structures. But unlike the human embryo, these rudimentary structures could already detect and react to certain light. They could see. So far so good. The next step is just to make sure that these sensory parts remain functional and then observe their lifespan and their behavior. And then after enough data regarding their behavior and function was collected, then it's time to move to the next step. Meaning that treatment for various retinal diseases can begin, even option and therapies for eye transplants and many other. But for now, we'll have to wait and see what happens next. Now that we're done with all the boring stuff, let me tell you what's really going on around here. As soon as I opened the article and saw the picture, it hit me like a goddamn truck. I could see clearly through the ruse of creating a brain with eyes that could cure whatnot. Bullshit, I tell you. What they were truly making is this. Look at it. You can basically see the similarities immediately. I wonder how no one in the lab mentioned that to them before. I guess Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles aren't that famous in Germany. They are making a goddamn crank. And I bet my sweet bobbity that in the next coming years they are planning to do a world domination. I mean, they are German scientists, so you can never rule out a world domination. But fear not. While you are probably shaking in your boots right now, I have devised a bulletproof plan to stop them. Now listen carefully to this. First, we catch around 200-300 turtles, tortoises, whatever. Then we put them in a secure, preferably underground location where we can do a series of tests on them, mentally strengthening them by making them listen to teen pop songs from mid-2000s and subsequently training them in the ways of ninja by playing whole Naruto and Naruto Shippuden back to back. After a couple of months, we pick the 4 best of them, send them out in the wide world to fight for us. Next level thinking, I know. Now all jokes aside, in the last decade we truly did make a breakthrough in medicine. Hopefully something nice comes out of it. or Krang. That's it for today. Subscribe if you haven't, leave a like on the video, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya!